Yeah.
My, how things have changed since
Still sometime.
Quick though.
since Thursday. Well, here's the latest now with Neymar. Let's dive right into it because now reports are saying that he is close to returning home to Santos. The striker set to leave Al Hilal, as we know, after his coach Jorge Jesus said, quote, "He can no longer play at the level we are used to." No surprise there. He won't be registered to play the second half of the season. Is close to returning to Santos in Brazil. And Santos CEO Pedro Martins said the club is, quote, monitoring Neymar's situation to see how he will resolve his case with his current club. I mean, he only signed with this club 18 months ago. He can participate, of course, in the Champions League version of what we see in his league at the moment. Gustavo Hoffman joins us now from Madrid. Gustavo, I'm going to start with you. What do you think of this news of the possibility of seeing Neymar go back to Brazil?
Cristina, Hercules, Chaka, good evening. Well, it's hard to imagine that. No, Neymar is still a very talented player. He's 32 years old. He's going to be 33 next month. He could be playing in the highest level of international football, but we haven't seen this Neymar for a long, long time. We have to remember that Neymar doesn't play a full match, a full high-level match, since December 2023, when he got injured playing for Brazil. In Saudi Arabia, he has played only a little bit more than 200 minutes for Al Hilal. So it's not easy for an athlete at this level, with 32, 33 years old, to become again a great player. To play in Brazil, we could imagine Neymar playing in Brazil again in the end of his career, like 35, 36 years old, coming back to Santos, where he started to play, where he was a teenager, and he became a star in Brazil. What we know by sources is that it is not an easy move, because he wants to come back. Santos wants him. There is an agreement between them, but Al Hilal also wants some compensation, some financial compensation, because they really pay Neymar really well. So it is not an easy move. Let's see what happens, but it's hard. It's hard to imagine Neymar again playing Brazil already. And I can say it also that we could have seen a little bit more of Neymar over the last years, and now to recover from this serious injury, more than a year without playing, it's not also easy for an athlete.
Yeah, and as you said, they paid a lot for him, specifically from PSG, 98.6 million only. And Shaq, if they terminate his contract right now, they would be owing him 60 million euros approximately, which for Al Hilal might not seem much, but it's still losing out on such a big name like Neymar was at the moment.
For just about everybody else on the planet, that's an awful lot of money. Al Hilal quite clearly are able and it seems willing to sacrifice not just the transfer fee that they paid for Neymar, but also what may be still outstanding on his contract. And I guess this is part of the risks of football. Sitting at this level, you invest in a talent such as Neymar's, not just for what he brings on the field, but off it, commercially, exposure to the league, and then he gets injured. That's just a part of the game. That's the big part of the risk. And while you sympathise coming back from an ACL, while more and more players are doing it in today's game, it is still such a serious injury. It is still so difficult to come back from. And that's quite clearly taking its toll on Neymar. Now the ball is in his court. What does he do next? What does he want to do next? The one thing we know is Neymar does not need financially. He'll be fine. He'll be able to pay his gas bill at the end of the month. So he can make a decision purely out of want. Does he want to go back to Brazil? Does he want to come to Major League Soccer? He can do whatever he likes in terms of bringing this career to a close, however, or more to the point, wherever he chooses. Let's see what that is and see what his truest motivation is at this point in his career.
You know, there's something here I'm not buying. It doesn't quite sit well with me. I'm thinking about why Jorge Jesus, his manager, would trash him that way and say that he's not fit enough to play at the level in Saudi. And I'm going in my head, like, why would you say that? Why would he say that? Let's say they had a good relationship there. Let's say he actually thought he was a good player. Why jeopardize the next move for him unless you and the club wanted to make it in a situation where you can get out of this contract, you come to terms, and financially speaking, you're on level ground. I don't understand what to make of this. And you're right, Shaq, he can go play wherever he wants. But Gustavo can tell you, if he goes to Brazil, he's going to be under that microscope. And a healthy Neymar, a Neymar that can give you 75%, let's just say 75%, I think can play on this national team. I think can be of use on this Brazilian national team. That's a Neymar that, if he's in Brazil, will be heavily criticized. And if you're in another market, let's say Major League Soccer, you're still going to be criticized like you are being criticized if you're Neymar, because you'll be in the public eye. Every weekend, the highlights will come out. They're going to see, let's say it's the Chicago Fire, who, by the way, come out of this brilliantly because they get the eyeballs for this and none of the actual jeopardy. They haven't signed Neymar, but they got the shine of Neymar right now. They're in the public eye for once, and this club desperately needed that. But let's say he went to the Chicago Fire. You would only know about Neymar every 8 days. That's when the people in Brazil would know about Neymar. That's when the national team coach would see the highlights or watch a game. You'd be left alone for the rest of the time. He would live a life like he's never lived before. And you're right. Financially, he doesn't need the money. So what are you looking for? I think about the next play, both in terms of money that he'll leave on the table with his club in Saudi Arabia and the national team. What type of player can he be for the national team? I still think he has a lot to offer. I know it's a tough injury, but if you put the time in with that injury, and I've been through it. I've been through that injury. I've had 3 separate surgeries. You put the time in, you'll be fine. You'll get something out of it. He's only 31, will be 32 in February. He by no means is 39, 40 at the end of his career.
But it seems like Gustavo, he's been kind of lost now here for Brazil and for his career in general. Going back to Brazil, we know on the financial side, as the guys just mentioned, that maybe he doesn't really need that type of compensation. But when it comes to mentally speaking, being close to his family, with his people at the end of the day in Brazil, how do you think that could impact Neymar on and off the field?
Yeah, Brazilian players always like to be in Brazil, the love of the Brazilian fans, of their families. I'm with Chaka on what does Neymar want? What does he really want? And also, he has to understand that he must be a professional athlete. As Hercules said, they can come back. Players who suffered this kind of injury. We have seen, for example, Davi Alaba this week. He has returned for more than 1 year without playing also. So they can play again. Maybe, and I think that's probable that we will not see again Neymar playing at his highest level, as we had seen some 5-6 years ago. But playing 75%, as Hercules said, in Brazil, for sure that he will make the difference. Playing for the Brazilian national team, I still think that he can help the team. And the idea of this return to Santos to play in Brazil, that's an idea for 6 months. So why only 6 months? Because in the middle of the year, he could make a move for Europe, for example, or if he wants to Major League Soccer. But the point that I want to also bring here is that he has to understand that he must be a professional athlete. Everybody knows the way that Neymar lives. Everybody, and he has the rights to do anything he wants. But with 32, 33 years old, with the pressure that you have, because if you're going to play in Brazil, of course that you're not going to have so much pressure as you would have in US, because you'll be in the middle of the hurricane playing for you in the United States. It's everybody watching you. In Brazil, everybody also there would be pressure for sure, but with Brazilian fans, with the club that he really knows, with near his family, but he must understand that he has to be a professional athlete to be ready to recover his health and to play at the best level he can.
Gustavo, you say Neymar can help the Brazil national team. What exactly does that mean? What does that look like? Neymar's not coming off the bench. Surely no.
Yeah, that's, well, with Dorival Jr., the manager of Brazil now, he would play like the number 10. The problem is that you cannot expect, again, in my opinion, that Neymar will be the star of Brazil, that everything will go around him like to happen in 2018, 2022, in 2014 also. So I have always explained it here one day, some weeks ago. In Brazil, we say that nowadays we talk about the hypothetical Neymar. Who is the hypothetical Neymar? It's the player that everybody's waiting for the return. How's he going to return? How is it going to be? This is the point. I still think, also, I repeat, that he can help the Brazilian national team, not leaving from the bench. But when you see the Brazilian national team, okay, we have Vinicius, we have Rafinha, but we don't have like 6, 7, 8, 10 players fighting for a place in the attack of the Brazilian national team. So I still think that he can help the Brazilian national team, maybe with his experience, but over anything, with his talent.
I'll leave just two things really quickly. I mean, you don't have a creative player like Neymar. Lucas Paqueta, he's not the creative player. You need somebody there who can unlock defenses and help players like Vini Jr., Rodrigo, Rafinha. And if you guys are expecting Neymar at 32 years old, Gustavo Xhaka, to change who he's always been as a footballer, which has given him everything in this world, that's not going to happen. I think that comes with the territory of Neymar Jr. Put the time in, get better, but I don't think we're going to see a change in Neymar Jr. in terms of that work ethic or attitude.
Listen, I agree. And to Gustavo's point, and the hypothetical Neymar, yes, we you know, if he comes back 75, 80% of who he once was, absolutely. But if he doesn't, if he's 50%, if he's 60%, is that good enough to make a meaningful impact for Brazil? Now, for 99% of the countries in world football, sure. But for Brazil, and the expectation every time Brazil steps on the park, it's to win that football match. I'm not sure that anything less suffices. I'm not sure, and again, kind of given some of his own restrictions, which we can only guess at this point, but given what Al Hilal is saying, you have as heavy an attack as Brazil possibly can both with Rafinha, Vinicius Jr., as Gustavo was just detailing, and the Neymar, who does not have the ability and does not have the legs that he once did. And again, for 99% of the countries in world football, that's fine. For Brazil, where every single football match, every time you step on the field, you're expected to win. Every single tournament, you're expected to win. I'm not sure that that's going to be enough.
Yeah, you're expected to win. You're expected to dominate, too, because you are Brazil.